Hi, everybody. This is day 1224. I think you can add some days to that since Richard Code Red, which started way before, and culminated with his murder. Um, and that's kind of all coming out little by little. We're patient. We want to do this right. People are innocent until proven guilty. And so we are just collecting evidence, evidence, evidence. And that evidence comes in three forms, I've learned: hard facts, irregularities, and circumstantial evidence. And with all of that, they're creating a giant causeway. And I'll say that in memory of Richard, loving Ireland so much. And if anybody knows about Ireland and Northern Ireland, there is a legend um, that has some truth to it. We went up there to visit. Richard loved it. We had such a great time visiting Giant's Causeway. It is a magnificent place, and all of this evidence that we have collected is like those stones, those amazing stones up there that create a causeway between Ireland and Scotland. And yeah, in Richard's case, it's to the truth, right? It's to his remains. We're hoping that it would lead to his remains so that we could get him back, because it has already led undeniably to his murder. 1,224 days uh, is is evidence, and the irregularities in all of this uh, absolutely puts together, builds a causeway to the fact that he was murdered, and that the uh, circle of criminals in these positions, these leadership positions, are covering up to protect um, what they did, what they did. And so we have been looking uh, and trying to understand the Hart family, because all that giant causeway leads to Leilani Hart. She absolutely uh, so much as admitted her involvement in this case by tampering with Richard's file, and also being the mother of Richard's platoon leader, Dallas Hart. Uh, so, and also Dallas Hart being a former first lieutenant at Fort Bliss. After going green to gold. Yeah, that's also an irregularity, and we have more. So just a few things that I'm trying to put together here, um, uh, because and I'm a little bit gloomy, because the information coming in is that this is also a sex crime, that there is a huge possibility, and we've heard it from the very beginning, that the crime against Richard was a sexual assault on top of the continuous and severe retaliation that he had to suffer through, and then the the murder, the incident that we believe happened in the arms room. We believe it happened in the arms room, for many, many reasons. But so, and, it's really sad because all the Giant's Causeway of Truth leads to the Hart family, specifically Dallas and Leilani Hart. And Leilani Hart um, notarized a criminal complaint that was really essentially about sex crimes, weren't they? They were about child pornography, which, later on we found out through witness testimony that Dallas Hart was rushing over to his mother's house to get the child pornography to hide it because of the investigation, right? To hide it. Let me get all that child porn so I don't get in trouble. I don't know if he's in it, if he produced it, if he made it, if he. We know that Richard. Let me make sure I'm on Facebook because this is so important. Um, this is so important because there's so many things coming together that point to all the sexualization and all the sex crimes in our leadership. So it does say I'm on the sex attack. We know that just sex in general, I can see everybody. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Grace, for coming on. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your prayers. Especially tonight, I have the chills because of everything that I was writing down, the notes of the information that has come in. And, just 3 years of information that we have collected, and doing this every day. Of course, I've have so many things by memory now, and so when I hear something, a lot of other evidences pop up in my memory. Um, and so when I heard that, yeah, this was a sex attack, this was a sex crime, this was revenge, then, things that I heard from the very beginning that Team Find Richard Halliday has collected. I know when we were in El Paso, uh, the Command Sergeant Major Jerry Jakovitz was confronted and asked if Richard was raped. And he said nothing. He said nothing. He was quiet. Well, quiet is not good. Quiet is not a good sign. And, so that never leaves you as a mother when you hear something like that. Then you have 3 months when our key witness, a key witness, because we have several, key witness, a very important key witness, came into this, um, and because he uh, is a witness of Leilani Hart tampering with Richard's file and having a close proximity to Leilani Hart and Tavita Nusa, hearing from their mouth that, they hurt someone bad, um, and more and more. I can't tell it all. I can't tell it all, but, you know, this was everything was, it's terrible when you're looking through the divorce, and the divorce is about threesomes. It's about threesomes. It's all sexual. It's all super sexual. There's so much, it's a sex cult, y'all. It's so absurd. It's so terrible. And when he came in, our key witness came in, and I was receiving through the hotline 3 months of daily vile, vulgar messages. They were all sexual, okay, and they were vile. No evidence for the other side at all. None. They have nothing, right? If, like for a long time, um, we have witness accounts that Dallas Hart was Richard's platoon leader, okay? And that he had sexual problems. That is in our, we have witnesses, we have sources that have witnessed to that. And, you know, I even let a person listen to the testimony, and they were upset. They were upset that we had the testimony, which is interesting, which is also like circumstantial evidence or whatever that confirms um, that Dallas Hart was Richard's platoon leader. And, there's this huge fact that, people will say, oh, he wasn't. Well, why aren't you saying, well, let me use my resources, let me use my connections, and let me get you the first lieutenant, the platoon leader. Where is, I remember at the beginning they were like, oh, did First Sergeant Ruggiero call you? He needed to call you. Okay, well, where is the platoon leader, right? It's, you know, where is the help on the other side of getting evidence to prove the sources that we have wrong, or mistaken? Let's say mistaken. And there is none. So we've let time go by to give everyone a chance to respond to that, and nobody has. And so these sources that we have, um, more than two, more, um, we believe them. We believe them. And as time goes by, absolutely, Dallas Hart, with all the other evidence that we have, is Richard's platoon leader. And it's, you have to use uh, the circumstantial evidence, the irregularities, and the hard evidence. And that points to Dallas Hart being Richard's platoon leader. And so instead of getting upset and mad and all that, why don't you provide evidence? But they don't. And, part of the concern, because I don't really want him to be Richard's platoon leader. I don't, because the source was saying he has a sexual problem. Okay. And then Leilani Hart says he has a sexual problem. And it's not just any sexual problem, it's incest. It's an incest sexual problem. And so why would I want him to be Richard's platoon leader? Okay. There's a lot of problems with that, right? A lot of problems. A lot of mental problems with that. And, and then to hear, or not to hear, Jerry Jakovic's answer if Richard was raped or not, is also a real concern. And then now we hear, in the divorce proceedings that they have threesomes. They just, this family is so broken, and is like part of this sex cult. And, maybe society thinks that's okay. I don't think it's okay because of my faith. I don't think it's okay at all because of science. Any kind of research that you do shows that that is harmful for a person, that's harmful for a family, that's harmful for a community, that's harmful for society, it's harmful for the future. And so, you can say it's faith, you can say, science, follow the science. And it's not a good thing to have incest be normalized and be part of a daily life of anybody. And and I think when you're in that situation, it also ups the risk of uh, a lot of a lot of violence. It's very violent, and so the fact that Richard um, was murdered then, because let me tell you, I think that was a battle and a half, and of course, um, where's Richard? So of course he was murdered, and to hear that it was sexual. Now, also, the notarized criminal complaint. So you have all the phone calls for 3 months that this is all sexualized. This is like a sexual cult. You have the leadership um, wearing doggy masks and grooming puppies and all of that. And then you have this arrest that just happened um, of a Pentagon official over schools, y'all, uh, um, being arrested for soliciting underage uh, sex, sex from minors. Then you have Ann Ogle, in charge. All of these people are having affairs. Okay, and we have that confirmed. They're all having affairs. You know, so there's no loyalty, there's no honor, there's no integrity. And the real problem with all of that is that these people are getting paid to be leaders. To They're obligated to care for our volunteer sons and daughters. And if someone is going to rape another person while they're, having sex with underage, or they're, committing adultery, um, and while they're a DOD, while they're in the military, they're not going. The chances of them not reporting and not doing the right thing, and we see that in Thomas Kane's situation. He absolutely folded on every front, right? That's because he had himself no integrity, no honor, no decency, was not faithful. He was not faithful to his family. Um, and so, how can an unfaithful person with no integrity, with no honor, um, give proper security to Fort Bliss? Of course, he's going to give the passes to these young party girls. And I'm sure not all of them were 18. I'm sure not all of them were 17. I'm sure not all of them were 16. I'm sure that not all of them were, we had a 14-year-old girl living in the barracks being pimped out on Fort Bliss and on Fort Pendleton. We have 85,000 missing minors that were under the care of Ann Ogle and Thomas Kane. And we don't know where they're at. And we have 3 months of absolutely sexual attacks, references on our Find Richard Halliday hotline. Terrible. You wouldn't believe how vile and vulgar. We have a command sergeant major, Jerry Jakovitz, who got the sweet deal at the VA because he sold his soul. Didn't know there was a missing soldier, right? Didn't know on his rolls. Um, Was that a secret? I mean, was it not reported? Especially Richard Halliday, who was the whistleblower, so much so that they had to um, manufacture some kind of crime for him to discredit him. And then when that didn't work, they had to murder him, you know, and all because this whole circle of individuals, criminals, were also involved in the Patrick Crucius case. And the sexual deviance causes deviance in other parts of life. And I don't understand why our society doesn't understand that. You know, um, when you're like in a sex cult and there's no faithfulness and there's just really torture, and the torture goes to the children and the bellies never get full. The bellies never get full. The desire never gets satisfied. It's just an empty pit. And so that's why they go to the children, they go to the younger, and they feel so empty. They're trying to get life, or they're trying to destroy life. And that uh, lack of decency, that lack of everything that a leader should be, right? The loyalty, the duty, the respect, the selfless service, the honor, the integrity, the personal courage, all of those things um, can't happen when you have a Pentagon official trying to fill his belly with underage minors. Okay? It just, they're just so preoccupied with their need, because they have no self-control. They have no selfless service. They're only self-serving. And we were told that Dallas Hart was like that. Okay? That's not me saying that. You have Leilani Hart saying that about her husband and, about her family. They're grooming the family to be sexually deviant, a sex cult, threesomes, incestual. She leaves her friend's children over there in that situation. Um, what kind of woman is she? She's a monster. And then doesn't even report that poor 7-year-old being raped by multiple members of the household. That's so criminal. And you can't take that back. And so to see the divorce corroborating everything, this sexual deviance, these sexual attacks, it's a sexual attack. And that the leadership on Fort Bliss is fomenting and looking the other way. With Asia Graham's case, they looked the other way. It wasn't until she was gone that they decided, oh, they better, look for her rapist. Um, and so, to hear, I mean, they have so few women, right, that join the military. I mean, at best, it's 1 to 9, okay, at best. Sometimes it's 1 to 50, 1 to 500, depending on which, which unit you're in, which branch of the military you're in. And they're making these women live in a co-ed barracks. And I posted up that little snippet of Grunt Speaks. It's a YouTube channel, Grunt Speaks. And these are the good guys, right? They're the good guys. But when you listen to the whole thing, you want to cry. Because at the end of the day, it's so vile and vulgar. The culture that they have inserted that has rubbed off on them. And these are the good guys, right? They're the ones that, the E8, he's the one that whistle blew on all the falsification of records. The sergeants, yeah. And the sergeant major of the Army had told this E8, you will never make E9 because you did the right thing, right? Because you did this. Right? So he was penalized for doing the right thing. So you're in the barracks with men that get penalized for being a gentleman, for having honor, for having loyalty, for respecting women. God forbid if you respect women. God forbid if you respect one another. You're going to get penalized. You're supposed to be ruthless, unethical, part of the sex cult, even a murderer. Because absolutely, lots of people know who murdered Richard. Lots of people know what happened to Asia Graham. They know about the drugs. They know about the fentanyl coming in. Absolutely, they know about the security breach on Fort Bliss. They know. And they allow it to happen at a leadership position. And if you say anything about it, like, get these women out of these barracks because our men are out of control. They're just horny. They just want to see you naked, right? They don't respect you. Isn't that what Richard said to Boleyn? They don't respect you. The guys are just horny. They just want to see you naked. And then they stick women in there, and then they get sexually harassed, and then they get sexually assaulted. You got a 14-year-old girl being brought in. You get party girls being brought in. And they want it to happen. They're just feeding the beast. They're feeding the belly. And the belly is never satisfied. And it gets violent. And here comes Richard. And he goes, this is not right. Get these women out of here. Get these kids out of here. Get these kids out of here. Look at these sex videos. Don't you have any kind of self-respect? Isn't there any kind of morality, any kind of ethics in the military? How are we going to fight for our country if we can't even have a secure military base? If our readiness, because, in that Grunt Speaks, he says something we all know, that they falsify army readiness, military readiness. They falsify. It's staged. He He claims that they weren't giving the ammunition to do the training, that the vehicles were leaving the motor pool with maintenance pulled, that everything's okay, and then 5 miles down the road it would break down. Um, they didn't have the equipment, they didn't have the weapons training, and what the leadership was doing then was falsifying the records and the reports to say that they did do it. And then sending our volunteer sons and daughters into harm's way without proper training, without proper gear, right? Not even having the right equipment. And then they're laying there in body bags. And you spray paint the ones that are dead, mark them. And that's why you need the grunt on the ground to spray paint the dead bodies. I mean, that's the grunt speaks. And so do I believe that Richard was sexually assaulted? I have to say, I don't want to believe it, but all the evidence is pointing to that. Because there's one sexual attack after the other, and I'm a victim of that. 3 months of that, we were like, okay, we need to we need to end this. And where did the traces go back to? To the government. It went to the government. This is an inside job, y'all. This is an inside job. All evidence that we have points to it's that Giant's Causeway to an inside job. And it leads to Leilani Hart, who leads to Dallas Hart. They're our number one suspects. And Jay Paulin too. And if they're listening, there's so much evidence. Of course, Tavita Nusa. Tavita Nusa's. And there's others. But it leads to them. And, I don't want Dallas Hart to be Richard's platoon leader. Because it's so despicable, y'all. It is so downright dirty. Disgraceful, degenerate, disgusting. And, but there it is. That's what it is. And it's connected to Bob Moore of El Paso Matters. So you have the command, of course, Clem Coward, and of course has a relationship with Leilani Hart, which means he has a relationship with Dallas Hart. And so you have the command, and you have whoever Eisenhower is, whatever he is. It's quite the opposite of honor and integrity. I can compare him to this, and he might even get mad and say, "What are you talking about? I have not gone out and illicit an underage minor, to have sex with me or whatever they're asking for these days because it gets so bad, right?" But you see, he is not responding to his duty, which is to care for his soldiers and to care for the security of Fort Bliss, and to um, get justice for his soldiers and be a good example, be honorable and strong, right? Be ethical. He's he's not ethical. Okay? I'm just going to tell you that right now. He is not ethical. He is not strong. He is absolutely compromised. Absolutely. There's not a doubt in my mind that Sean Bernabe, McConville, Eisenhower, Clem Coward, Mealy, Donna Martin, the PP McGee SJA, that they are totally compromised, every last one of them. And they're compromised like this Pentagon pedophile, right? This Pentagon pedophile that has supposed to have a duty to overlook the education of our children, and how can he do that uh, when he's just trying to fill his belly with them? You know, there's no integrity there, and it's putting everybody in danger. And if they're going to compromise on that, like, if I'm eliciting sex from a 14-year-old, right, and someone in my unit or someone that's under me is eliciting sex from a 15-year-old or a 13-year-old, am I going to report that person? Am I going to make an example out of that person? No. So then we have, a crime going. If I'm falsifying records, am I going to report others that falsify records? If I'm mishandling remains, right? If I'm mishandling remains to, I don't know, do some kind of insurance deal or whatever, if I'm stealing identity, am I going to report others that are doing crimes? I'm compromised. And Thomas Kane, totally compromised. And he's supposed to be chief of security of Fort Bliss. So, did he help Leilani? I mean, we have information that Felix Valenzuela was coaching Leilani Hart. Felix Valenzuela is a defense lawyer defending the mass shooter nutcase Patrick Crusius. And he's going in, and Leilani Hart wants help from him, and he's connected to the Bliss Avenue houses, properties, whatever you want to call them. And there seems to be a lot of insurance scams. A lot of insurance scams. So, you're a sex cult. You commit all these sex crimes. You see those people over there, fudging records, manufacturing records, stealing identities, wiping records, whatever, tampering, however you want to call it. And are you going to say anything? Are you going to do anything about it? And now they're going to tamper with remains of our soldiers, especially if the perpetrators are involved in the are what are some of the criminals in the Patrick Crucius case, right there with Patrick Crucius, right? Let's. I'm with Patrick Crucius, and now I'm going to commit crimes against Richard Halliday, and people are going to cover for me. I can absolutely be a murderer and get covered for because nobody has any integrity. Nobody has moral fibers. Nobody has any ethics. And these positions that have been handpicked to be occupied by my fellow criminals. So we'll put a criminal, a pedophile in there at the Pentagon in charge of schools, right? And we'll put a incestuous pedophile at the VA in charge of the veterans' disability benefits. We'll put an unfaithful CID agent right there, Tavita Nusa, in El Paso. He's unfaithful. He's compromised. We'll put an unfaithful person there at DES. They're all compromised. And then our young volunteer sons and daughters get over there and they get hit by a 2x4 over their head with all this immorality all around them from their leadership, and they're like, wow. And the drugs are all around them, and the alcohol's all around them, and then they go on PTSD, or they commit suicide, or they're suicidal. And then they're not even ready because they're just fudging all the readiness because they don't want to train. They want to fill their bellies. They want to sell the equipment. They want to sell, traffic the weapons. They want to traffic the ammunition. We don't want to use that ammunition ready for training. We're gonna fudge the numbers and we'll sell it over the border and pocket the money so we can fill our belly with crime. And I wish it wasn't so. And I'm not saying everyone, but there's not too many people that have served in the Army at Fort Hood and Fort Bliss, because those are Siamese twins too, that are saying, this is a great place. This is a great place to be. I mean, TikTok is making fun of the military. It's, and that's not me. And it's not me saying there's 85,000 unaccounted for minors out of that intake center from Fort Bliss. It's not me saying that suicides are out of control. It's not me that's, saying that the Hart family is a sex cult, incestuous, pedophile, buying weapons illegally and being violent. I'm just reporting to you what is documented. What is documented. And that's why, they're trying their darndest this week. Bob Moore, let's talk about Bob Moore a little bit of El Paso Matters. It's huge what he's doing, because he's inserting himself in the Patrick Crucius case and putting Joe Spencer and Felix under the bus, because I think he can read the writing on the wall. I mean, he's being investigated right now. We have it confirmed by the IRS for him interfering by tampering with a witness, using an unreliable source, the Dallas Hart's convicted criminal mother with, dozen dozen, more than a dozen, um, long record, criminal record. And so Bob Moore's like, okay, I'm being investigated now. And wow, uh, I better start pretending that I'm a journalist. I better simulate it. I better simulate it that everyone knows that now, even though I have article after article after article, um, interfering and, where is he? He should have called. He should have called us, and he should have done a correction, interviewed us. Uh, Same thing with Angela Kacherga. Interview us, put in a correction in the paper if he was really a journalist, but he's not. He's just simulating, okay, because they can't shine a light on Richard's case because the giant causeway leads to the Hearts, and the Hearts somehow, some way, lead to all the connections of other criminals, not just Patrick Crusius, but other criminals in the Walmart mass shooting case. Okay? It's not an accident that Felix Valenzuela, the defense attorney for Patrick Crusius, right? Criminal mass shooter Patrick Crusius, is seemingly coaching and, legally advising Leilani Hart and others, y'all, and others in Richard Halliday's case, and is connected to these bliss houses, which is Danae Katzen, Belen Rocha, and their families, which somehow are connected to insurance and the mortuary affairs. And Danae, I never went out to look for Danae. Danae came to us. And Belen came to us. She's the one that texted Hannah. She's the one that gave us the video of Richard burning the money, saying, I'd rather burn my money than spend it on horse. He was sending us a code. He was sending us a message. There's a problem at Fort Bliss with whores and blow. Blow meaning cocaine. I guess it's cocaine. I was told it was cocaine. Drugs. That the barracks were marketplaces for illegal drugs. I've been told that I don't know how many times. That you can get anything you want. You can get anything. That means there's a security breach at Fort Bliss. If you can get any kind of illegal drug in the barracks, and we know that from Austin Hawk's case too, then there's a security breach in our military installations, especially in our case, Fort Bliss. That means that Thomas Kane was not doing his job. He was too busy filling his belly than doing his job. And to me, that's something that Bob Moore could be reporting on if he was doing his job. But instead, he's simulating because he's too busy filling his belly. And the same thing with Angela Kacherga. And these are big positions, y'all. Award-winning positions. 501c3 positions. That's not so easy to get. And Leilani Hart is a 100% disabled veteran. She was a dental assistant. She's a 100% disabled veteran. And she has just $30 on her bank account. That's what the divorce thing was saying this week, right? Only $30. Hasn't paid her mortgage for 24 months. But she had to buy a $40,000 truck because, that white van. That white van had to go. It had to go. So she had to buy the truck. Um, I don't think she's going to stay here. I don't think that her plan is to stick around. Because, I know all about offshore uh, accounts because I like economics. I don't have any offshore accounts. I used to have an Irish bank account. I used to have an Irish bank account because I lived in Ireland. So don't tell me. And she wants $170,000 maintenance. She wants some maintenance um, from James Hart and the house. But wait a minute, she hasn't paid the mortgage on the house for 24 months. I don't know how that all happens. Unless everybody is so compromised and the people that are compromised have to be part of the law enforcement, because why isn't she arrested? Why isn't she arrested? I mean, James Hart should have had her arrested. Fort Bliss should have had her arrested. El Paso police should have arrested her. FBI should have arrested her. If everything that's, and I think that, they're protecting her because she's so crazy. This is not me saying that either. I cannot tell you how many people I've talked to that said she's crazy. She's crazy. Dallas Hart said she's crazy. James Hart, she's crazy. Her victims, she's crazy. She's crazy, right? And that, even the judge that when she was became a convict, right? When she became a convict, a convicted criminal, the judge is like, I'm ordering her to have a mental evaluation because something is not clicking there. And James is saying she can't even recognize reality. Yet Bob Moore is using her for a source to obstruct Richard Halliday's case, to tamper with a witness. A witness that a year earlier reported Leilani Hart for tampering with our son's file, right? So this is an act of retaliation. So Bob Moore is engaging in retaliation. And for politics, this is a political attack machine. And in the Patrick Crusius case, the more that we look into it, it's very odd that he posted, and everyone knows this, to have Yvonne Rosales unseated. She's the very first Hispanic female district attorney for El Paso that was duly elected, and he worked against her, right? Posting. This is Bob Moore of El Paso Matters, worked against the very first duly elected Hispanic female DA, the top law enforcement officer in El Paso. And 2 days later, he put in that petition for her unseated. I'm wondering, we're trying to look to see why did he try to unseat her? Was she looking more into the criminals of Patrick Crucia's case? Was she looking into the criminals in Richard Halliday's case? Because he didn't want her there. And this is media. And now he's inserting himself into the Patrick Crucia's case. Which, if you're inserting yourself into the Patrick Crucia's, and he's already in the Richard Halliday, he's already obstructed the justice there. He's already tampered with a witness. He's already being investigated by the IRS. He's already putting Felix Valenzuela under the bus. Because he was, you think about it. Bob Moore is using Leilani Hart, who cannot ever be taken seriously when it comes to trying to accuse someone of doing something. She's just so detached from reality. And yet he's using her as a reliable source, and she's unreliable, clearly proven. And she's getting her play-by-play from Felix Valenzuela. That's what we're being told. Seemingly, apparently, she's getting her play-by-play from Felix Valenzuela, who's a defense attorney for Patrick Crucius, the mass shooter. And 4 years, Joe Spencer and Felix Valenzuela have been sucking the money out of the taxpayers. For 4 years, they've been living large, and they still do not have a court date for Patrick Crucia's case, the Walmart mass shooter. The Walmart mass shooter still does not have a court date? Because why? When they start having those the hearings, you will see people, key witnesses that are key witnesses and suspects in Richard's case, and people will be like, wait a minute, wasn't Richard's mom talking about Ann Ogle? Isn't Ann Ogle the one that was in charge of the emergency, the health and welfare of the children in the emergency intake center? And where are they? Weren't some of them raped? Who knows what happened to the ones that are unaccounted for? Where are they? Wasn't Ann Ogle in business with Thomas Kane? He was a DES, right? Isn't he the one that said Richard was a good meal for the coyotes? Isn't he the one that said Richard was like Vanessa Guillen? And why is he on Fort Bliss, part of Patrick Crucia's case? What's going on here? Why is Fort Bliss part of Patrick Crucia's case, the Walmart case? You think people will start putting the dots together and saying, then why did that even happen? What really happened on that day? What happened maybe before then? What are their real connections? What really happened? What got Patrick Crucius to pull the trigger in that Walmart? I mean, I'm just thinking out loud here, connecting the dots. Because I'm going to tell you, this is just a little bit of it. What we have absolutely connects. Because I wouldn't come on a live stream without a lot of material to back up what I'm saying. That Richard Halliday's case, our son's case, is absolutely connected to the Patrick Crusius Walmart mass shooting case, because it's the same circle of criminals that raped and murdered Richard, as we are told. And 1,224 days, where's Richard? And what happened on that March 19th when they found those remains, those partial remains at Hondo Pass and all that? That all needs to be revisited. So many lies were told to us from that dirty agent Marlon Soto. So many lies. Oh, Nadal Baim. Oh, that guy, that FBI guy, the guy that claimed he's the FBI. Oh yeah, he's just some guy. He's not any of that. He's not any of that. No. He's just some guy. Oh, Danae, she's nothing. She's nothing. Don't pay attention to Danae. She's nothing. She's don't take her seriously. She's that's why he didn't even tell us that she was also a convicted criminal. Right? That's why he didn't even tell us that she was a criminal, because she was involved in this case a lot deeper than what we ever knew. And that's why he didn't want Belinda's name to get out there. But the giant causeway rises up. The stones of truth pop up. There's nothing to stop the truth from getting out. Nothing. The lies cannot be sustained. I mean, when I think of Sean Bernabe, 3-star general, oh my gosh, I can't even think of him like that, because he's so rotten to the core. He's so rotten, and I'm just praying, please, Lord, have mercy on these soldiers that have to serve under Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, because, please, let's not go to war. Please let's not go to war. Because Sean Bernabe is so interested in his belly. And, doesn't care at all about the service members under him. Not at all. And when I think of that phone call with him, when I think of the meetings, and I think of the ridiculous narrative they were trying to feed us, and his SJ rushing over to look over my shoulder. Oh, underage drinking is punitive. It's punitive. We take it seriously, And Richard, we got that last video. We want to show it to you. Stay where you're at. In hell. When I think of what he did, y'all, I just, I'm like, oh, please, Lord, give us justice. He's the one that let Dirty Agent Soto do that. He participated with Dirty Lieutenant General Donna Martin of the CID. He did it, y'all. He led his SJ. He led his PAO. He defended his PAO's nest. He defended his PAO. It's just like, really? You needed to fire her and get another PAO. But no, she's my mouthpiece. Well, oh, wow. Wow. Um, he's just so bad, y'all. And Eisenhower, and what relationship did Sean Bernabe have with Leilani Hart? Because all roads lead to Leilani Hart, right? It's like, what did Leilani Hart give you that you would be um, such a monster? Such a monster to the Vanessa Guillen first absent soldier. What did Leilani Hart? What did James Hart offer you? What did you know? What's going on? All of them should have been arrested. Absolutely, we should have our son's remains. He should have told us right away that they have our son's remains, that they mishandled our son's remains, that they stole our son's identity, that they used it to be up to no good in their insurance, whatever. Because that's what I think. Absolutely. Because we know 100% that his identity has been stolen, and I think even ours. Because the crimes against us are there too. And he should have told us, hell no, you should not have had to suffer through the Fugitive Apprehension Unit searching your home without a warrant. He should have. He should have stuck up for us. He should have had the Vanessa Guillen first absent soldiers and his family. He should have had our back. And he didn't. He used us for a toilet. That's what he did. He used Richard for a toilet. He used us for a toilet. And I think that Fort Bliss can say, I am Richard Halliday, because he used Fort Bliss as a toilet. Asia Graham happened under his watch. 11 soldiers drinking from the grug happened under his watch. The murders happened under his. He used Fort Bliss as a toilet. He should be stripped from his uniform and his stars, from every privilege. And I'm being kind. So, let's see. Hi, Danielle. Why have they tried to hide the platoon leader? Absolutely. Because it's Dallas Hart. It's Dallas Hart. We have witness testimony on record that Dallas Hart was Richard's platoon leader. And there has been not one person brought forward to us, a first lieutenant, that said, no, I'm Richard's platoon leader. It's always been Dallas Hart. And don't forget, we have Richard's silhouette on that Mercedes, that Pearl custom Mercedes. C-Class, right? Is it S-Class? What is it? Anyway, I'm not so familiar with cars. I'm learning a lot through this, let me tell you. From the report that she turned into FBI, She should be arrested for allowing that to happen to her own children. Yes, and to her friends' children. She failed to report because she says because um, James threatened her immigration status. That's what she says in there. That's not me. She says, James, I cannot say anything because James threatens my immigration status. So she has an immigration problem. Yeah, exactly. She should be arrested for failure to protect her children and more. Absolutely. But think about this. She failed to protect her children. Okay. She's having threesomes. Okay. That's what the divorce paper, you know, and there's more. There's more because we have reports out of Colorado that there was regular, really bad stuff going on. Okay. And, but she's telling her friend who's an active duty soldier, we know who she is, to leave her children with the perpetrators, with these incestuous pedophile perpetrators. And then the 7-year-old gets raped by multiple members of the family in her master bedroom. This is accepted by the FBI. This is accepted by the CIA. And she didn't have to go to the CID. And she didn't have to go to the FBI. She should have gone to the El Paso Police Department. But no, she was having an affair with Tavita Nusa. And he helped her get all that in and get accepted into the FBI. And we talked to the notary. The notary confirmed. Why wouldn't she scream to bring justice for her own son? Proves her mindset, in my opinion. Absolutely. Thank you. You already got it. That's what I was thinking. I feel sorry for every child that has been around that evil individual. Absolutely. And Major General Eisenhower is protecting her. Protecting her. Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe is protecting her. Protecting her. This unreliable source, convicted criminal. Wow. And they're not saying one thing. Not one thing. Not using their PAO. They're using Fort Hood and Fort Bliss as their toilet so they can fill their belly. That's what's happening. Because they are not standing up against the likes of Leilani Hart. And they're allowing James Hart to sit on the medical board, having access to everyone's file, and being in this kind of divorce and being in that kind of accusations, and she's not arrested. If what she's saying is a lie, why isn't she arrested? And don't tell me it's for the children's sake, because every one of their children are siding with James Hart in this divorce. Because Leilani only has $30 in her bank account. She wants $170. I guess he has some money. Wow. Wow. That's why we've asked for the open records for the money. We've asked to follow the money. We want the open records in the Patrick Crucius case, which every one of you should be writing Amy Schnotty. Write that woman the office of the governor and request open records for the Patrick Crusius case and for Richard Halliday's case. Because this is millions of dollars that they're using your money. Your money. I mean, they're laughing at us while using us as a toilet. Because Felix Valenzuela and Joe Spencer don't even have, after 1 year, after 2 years, after 3 years, after 4 years, for the Walmart mass shooting, don't even have a court date yet. Because the Walmart case, criminals, not just Patrick Crusius, but there's more criminals, are the criminals in Richard's case. And they are connected by the 3705 and the 3905 Bliss Avenue. Those addresses are in both cases. That is not just a coincidence. And Felix Valenzuela is connected to those in Richard's case, and he has been just living large with this little with this big cash cow, I guess. Gravy train. It's a gravy train for him. And he, after 4 years, they say they're having a hard time with the evidence. Like, they don't have the pictures of the forensics. They don't have the gun. They don't have Patrick Crusius. They don't have the videos. They don't have... I mean, come on. We all have them. 4 years, they don't even have a date. And they're using our money, your money, especially in El Paso. If you're an El Pasoan, I think, I can put out Amy Snoddy's email and request, hey, we want to see the monies. Because this week, Joe Spencer and Felix Valenzuela are hitting back saying, no, don't release it, don't release it, don't release it. This is public information. We don't live in a closed society where you can just do whatever you want. That's why we have accounting, so that we can look at it. That's why we have the records. That's why we have criminal records, so we can look at it, so that we can know where the pedophiles are, where the criminals are, so we can know who to hire, who to trust. That there is accountability and there is oversight. You can't just keep the accounting of our money from us while you've been living large for 4 years and we have no results. We have not one court date. I want to know who killed my son. Why are you covering it up? How much money? If it's $5, if it's 20 million, I want to know. Absolutely, Kat, you're right. Did her son commit suicide because their abuse? Why haven't they been charged for her own son's death? Failed to protect him, just my opinion. Yeah, people don't really know about that, about her son. And it's true. Leilani has a son that committed suicide. And I know a lot about it. I haven't really mentioned it. And I think that's enough right there, right? I think that's enough. Um, I think, the violence, the immorality, um, and there's a lot to that story, y'all. And, why do you think our suicide rates are so high in the military and the PTSD is so high? When you have honor and integrity and personal courage, and you have generals that uh, have your back, they don't have to be nice. They have to be strong and have integrity and ethics, and you know, and we respect them. They don't even have to be perfect. They just have to try to hit the bullseye, right? But Sean Bernabe and the rest of them purposely choose to have criminal activity on our military bases, to have breaches in our security on our military bases. They choose. They purposely want to fill their belly with, you know, let's have some female soldiers being raped or something. Because they choose to not protect them on a military installation, on an American military installation on our land. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Um, yeah. Where is Richard Halliday? Absolutely. Where is Richard Halliday? Absolutely. City of El Paso Municipal. Where is Richard Halliday? Exactly. 1,224 days. We'll climb every mountain. We'll go down every valley. We'll cross every stream, whatever. And we'll go more and more days. Try to say 1,224, you know. Um, and it's more than that. It's more than that because Richard suffered long before he was murdered. And we believe um, the person today that told us he was sexually assaulted because it's not the first time. It's where the Giant's Causeway is leading. And, you know, when you hear that your suspects, your main suspects, are totally in this sex cult, yeah, it's bad. Facebook, Halliday, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Anicia. Um, and Rob, you need to tell them we love them. We love, because we couldn't do this. We're being shadow banned. We have 4,300 followers on Facebook for a long time, months and months. We're almost, we're catching up real quick on TikTok. So I need to spend a lot of time on TikTok. I need to put up a lot of TikToks because we're being shadow banned, right? Now, where is the leadership with their PAOs? Where is Bob Moore? Where's Bob Moore getting this out? If he wants to simulate real journalism, he would cover this story properly. Yeah. And it's not a boring story. Nope, it's not. I think it would be wise of him. His money problems could be solved. So anyway, um, I should be giving advice to Bob Moore. He's treated us like a toilet too. Uh, but he's being investigated by the IRS, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So thank you, everyone. We really appreciate it. We really love you for supporting us, for sharing all this information. And I know it's really shocking and crazy to hear that Richard's case is part or connected, intertwined. I think that's a good word, intertwined with the Petra Crucius case, the Walmart mass shooting case. We know just some information. We know that Ann Ogle and Thomas Kane were really researching everything mass shootings. Um, yeah, I'll that'll be for tomorrow. That'll be for tomorrow. Um, but that's I guess that's like a little trailer. All right, everyone. Thank you so much, and God bless you for staying on so late. Um, I'll be